Today we're going to tie the LTD. I posted the LTD early on the website, early in June, as a quick entry. I wanted to get it on the website, but it really didn't justify the blog entry. This is probably the most productive pattern to ever come off my bench. It's a proven pattern. I tied this originally 15 years ago to match the sulfur hatch on the west branch of Pine Creek in central Pennsylvania. It has since matched pretty much all hatches that I fish, where I can tie them from size 12 down. Doesn't do so good on the drakes once you get larger than size 12. It's been fished by acquaintances for a number of years now on both coasts. It performs well no matter where it is. The Pale Morning Dun and Sulfur Hatch is where it truly shines. Little Blue Winged Olives, it does exceptionally well in size 18. But here's how it's tied. I begin with a size 14 standard dry fly hook and Olive Dun uni thread. I begin my thread base. I bring it back to the point of the barb, and at that point I'm going to prep my tail and shuck, or trailing shuck. You're going to select 5 or 6 fibers of pheasant tail, natural. And you're going to tie them in shank length at the point of the barb. Do not extend your thread very far forward, because you don't want two things. You don't want to waste the length of the pheasant tail, and you're going to bind it back. And you're going to grab the butt ends of your pheasant tail and again bind it down even with the point of the barb, and then wrap over your transition. Bring the thread back to just in front of the point of the barb, and you're going to form a small thread loop. I don't use a tag end for this. I use a thread loop. I want more thread. I want the thread to actually come through the abdomen as it's wrapped. You want to see the olive done. It seems to perform even better when it is. And then you're going to take your butt ends and you're going to sweep them into the loop. And you're going to grab it all with your hackle pliers. And then spin it. You're not going to spin it to the super tight rope. You want it to still flatten out slightly as it wraps. And you're going to bring your fibers forward, your spun fibers. You may have to twist it as you go along. You're going to bring your thorax or your abdomen forward to about the midpoint of your shank and tie it off. And bind it down. At this point, you're going to tie in your CDC. I prep my CDC by notching the front. I want to remove the stem from the fibers that I'm going to be using. I sweep everything to the tip. And then I tie it in tip first. And I use the curvature of the CDC feather. This is tied in to be pulled over with the shiny side, if you want to call it that, up. So you want it to be, you want the curvature of the feather natural curvature of the feather to curve down. If you pull it forward, you want the curvature to be down. Is the easiest way to explain it. Pull that out of the way, and you're going to tie in your hackle. I use medium done dry fly hackle. Tie it in on the side. And then you're going to dub your thorax. I use Pale Morning Dun Orvis Spectra blend now. Rabbit works exceptionally well. I use Pale Morning Dun for the original pattern, and I still use it. It seems to do well regardless of the shade of the sulfurs or the Pale Mornings that are coming off. You're not going to build a huge thorax. You're just going to give a base for your hackle. You do just a little bit more. Not too much. That was a little too much. You're going to give a little bit more than an eye length remaining. At this point, you're going to grab your hackle. You're going to palmer forward. You're going to come forward at a pretty sharp angle. You're going to bring one just short of the midway point of the thorax. And you're going to bring the next wrap right at the head of the thorax. Not too far towards the head. You don't want it to roll off. We slid a little bit there. But you're only going to do 2 wraps, and they're going to be very sparsely wrapped and spread apart. 2 wraps is the max. Smaller patterns you'll do 1.5. Like the blue winged olives, I'll only do 1.5. Secure that hackle. At this point, you're going to bring your CDC forward. I pull it forward along with the curvature. I sweep it back, leaving it long, and give 2 wraps to secure it. And then you're going to pull up on the butt end, shortening that loop, maintaining it on top. Don't let it roll down. And what you're going to do is you're going to pull that loop, them butt ends forward until your loop is about midway in the thorax. Right there. At that point, you're going to give a couple more wraps on top, a few wraps in front to secure it, and then trim off the butts. Make sure you don't crowd the eye. You're going to bind that down. Got a little bit of a stem there. You don't want to interfere with your head. And bind that down. And build your head. And give a quick whip finish. And then your final step for this pattern is you're going to cut a V-notch. You want this fly to float low in the film. Your hackle is not floating this fly. Your CDC is floating the fly. So you're not that preoccupied with floating it with your dry fly hackle. You're going to come underneath in the center, about 1/8 of an inch wide, sweep back, cut them off. Don't overthink it. You got a few fibers there, that's fine. And then apply your head cement. This fly floats very well. It works throughout the hatch. I fish it when the duns are coming off. I fish it when they're emerging. I fish it regardless. I usually never go to a true dry fly when the sulfurs are coming off, or the little blue-winged olives, unless they prove to not want this pattern first. This pattern tends to outfish them all for me. And there it is, the LTD, or long transitional dun, as it was originally named. An excellent pattern for any hatch. It can be tied in various colors. All I adjust is the front half, the thorax, the hackle, and the CDC. I leave the rear half of the fly as is. It is an excellent pattern on the water for all phases of the hatch. You may have seen it, like I said, in Fly Tire. You may have seen it in my book, Tomorrow's Fish, and on the blog. This is will probably be the final blog entry, and a complete blog entry for the pattern as well. I hope it adds to your box, and good luck on the water. Thank you.